Welcome to the podcast where relationships, confidence, and determination all converge into an amazing, heartfelt experience. This is Speaking from the Heart.
Welcome back to episode number 193 of Speaking from the Heart. Have you ever been really tested in terms of not only your personality, but also the way in which you handle things, even the things that happen on a day-to-day basis, whether it's from your children, whether it's from your significant other, whether it's from your coworkers, even your boss for that matter? Has clients, even individuals that you work with consistently, contractors, people that have been continuously knocking on your door, testing your patience, have they been forcing you to feel like you are really at wit's end, at your patience, at your limit in terms of being able to work through a variety of different conversations, issues that might come up, and even trying to figure out what's the best course moving forward? I think that many of us, especially in the different types of circumstances that we are in, are faced with these challenges day in and day out. Testing our abilities means that we have to live life to the fullest, knowing that we have to have this patience, this credibility, and we have to earn it with not only the degree of which we deserve to have it, but also trying to work through the different challenges that we are faced with, putting our worthiness at the line, especially questioning whether we are being misunderstood, being challenged by those individuals. I think that for life and for all the things that it brings, these can be challenging in so many different ways. So in today's episode, I want to help you not only address those challenges, not only address what those abilities look like, but putting to question why those conversations happen and working through the determination that we have to keep on pressing forward, even if we think that we're unworthy. Now, I don't know about you, but I've been tested throughout my life in a variety of different circumstances. Not only has it been about my own work ethic, but it's also been about my relationships with others, why I have certain relationships over other people, and why do I keep on working with people that sometimes might not be worthy of such work being done. And I can understand why. There are a variety of different factors that might play into somebody's decision of wanting to work with someone, of willing to put on that question of why that is happening in the first place. Why are we feeling like we owe them something to even work on? But those abilities, those things that we have, means that we are being looked upon and we are going to be tested day in and day out on whether we respond to them effectively or not. And having that job, having that business especially, means that we are continuously putting on the line our credibility, our ability to work with others, to showcase why we are the right person for the job. And of course, when we are being questioned at our job, especially by our bosses, as to why we made a certain decision the way that we did, I can also understand why, they would want to see why that credibility needs to be questioned, especially if they're going to be questioned as they go through the chain of command. That self-worth, that worthiness, might have a lot of different feelings associated with it. Sadness, guilt, anxiety, all the things that we often attune to when it comes to our own self-worth means that we have to work through difficult situations. It means that we might be misunderstood. It might mean that we have to focus on the reaction that might come from such interactions and trying to address what that looks like. But how we turn those conversations into opportunities means that we have to look at why those circumstances happen in the first place. Those circumstances often occur because not only are they being tested, as I alluded to earlier, but it might be because they might not be certain of whether your answer, that problem that you're trying to solve, those abilities that you have that you claim to have at stake, are even being worthy of being considered. That credibility, that ability to put to question what it is that you bring to the table of whether you're worthy or not, is something that might come from a variety of different perspectives. It might not even be about you, but about the person that is naming that problem, naming that issue that is coming up. And I think by testing our abilities, testing our willingness to keep pushing through all the different things, means that we have to keep on continuously trying to move towards a different direction. It means that we have to realize through our own problems and our own solutions what it means to create that aspect, that development of what it means to be worthy, to give ourselves that self-worth, to know that when people are questioning that, that we do have an answer for it. Oftentimes, it can be very difficult to not only have these kinds of conversations, but to also respond to them accordingly. Charles Darwin's Origin of Species would certainly tell you that the survival of the fittest means that we have to work through a variety of different outcomes. Those outcomes will determine whether someone will succeed or, in the most morbid of cases, how someone will die. And I certainly don't advocate that someone's going to die just because they're being tested for their abilities. I think that it's just simply an understanding of what it means to have merit, to have consideration, to bring forth worth in this ever changing world, but also showcasing why that reaction that we have, that ability for us to keep working through problems, means that we have to be able to learn why those circumstances happen in the first place. I think by learning those circumstances, we can actually challenge how our abilities are tested. So I have a couple ideas as to how you can work through some of those things today. Number one is to actually do a risk assessment. Many companies do that, especially when they're testing a new product. They're measuring the outcomes over an extended period of time, especially in a smaller market, what it might mean to offer a new product, a new service, or a combination thereof, in order to showcase not only their willingness to keep moving forward, but also to keep on doing what they are set out to do. Of course, we don't want to spend millions or even billions of dollars on a wasted idea and then have to answer to somebody. Of course, we don't want to do that. That's testing our abilities. That's testing our willingness to be able to address these kinds of concerns without any retribution, any delay. I think that when we are working through all these different experiences, especially when it comes to risk assessment, we want to showcase why it's so important to try to stay away from it. So being able to do that assessment can make such an impact in the ways in which we grow and thrive in our own skill sets, our own knowledge, in being able to help others. But the real important thing that I think of more than anything else is just paying attention to the small details. Growing up as a kid, I learned so much about learning about those types of details and been a very careful observer when it comes to other people, knowing by their sense of touch, smell, feeling of whether that energy around them is really a positive or negative influence means that we have to learn about why it's happening in the first place, why those people are reacting the way they are. When we start to understand that and we start to understand the patterns and the differences that are being exhibited, that's when we really can hone in on not only those abilities that are being tested, but also understand why people are reacting the way they are. Those small details are the proof in the pudding, as they say in a certain expression, of how we are able to learn from other individuals. That detail, especially those aspects that create those reactions that we are oftentimes fearful of, means that we have to be seeking out what it means to go through those processes, what it means to go through those different types of situations, what it means to especially have all those unnecessary aspects, but also addressing what it is that create these indicators, these things of which create that self-doubt and maybe even are being done to see how you react each time someone is bringing it up. Think of it this way. When a kid, especially one that you're raising, certainly test over and over again when you're going to give in to give them a candy bar, maybe that sweet treat that's in the cupboard. How many times does it take for them to annoy you, to frustrate you, to keep on continuously asking you, Mom or Dad, can I have that piece of candy now? Until you finally give in. They're testing your ability as to how much patience you really have. How willing are you to give them that sweet treat? I think for many of us, we're trying to get into that sweet treat when we are trying to unlock in somebody their ability to work through difficult problems. And for them to put the question, what this conversation looks like, means that you also have to learn from those individuals what they're seeking out. Maybe they're testing you for a reason. Maybe there's a hidden motivation, which could be a whole other factor as to why this kind of conversation is happening in the first place. In a way, you have to be a detective. You have to test your own abilities, especially when you're being tested by someone, to see why that credibility isn't being given to you. Why are you not getting that job promotion? Why are you not being recognized for all the hard work that you put in at the job? Why isn't your wife giving you any attention to the fact that you have built that awesome living room comprised of all kinds of different features that she's been looking for all these years? All these aspects, all these different scenarios all accumulate into one thing. It's not just about testing, but seeing how much are you willing to go the distance before you give up, before you walk away from all the things that are being thought about you, misunderstood about you, and how much are you willing to set the record straight. We are worthy of not only the affirmations that we are allowed to be given, but also the opportunities to be able to grow, to learn from our mistakes, to be given grace, to be able to understand what that looks like as a whole. Self-worth can be very challenging, especially when we're working through so many different types of circumstances in our life that require us to be strong, to walk past fear, to know that we have this conviction to make such a big difference, whether it's in our own lives or in the team members that we serve. Teams come of all shapes and sizes, but I know that in life, being tested can also seem like it's a very negative activity. But in a way, it keeps us sharp. It keeps us realizing that we need to keep on working on ourselves. That if we are able to grow, if we're able to determine what it means to keep on working towards that common cause, being able to go through the things that might be challenged or misunderstood, we don't have to react in such a negative way anymore. We now are realizing that we as humans are giving an experience of a lifetime because other individuals want to see the very best from us. Sure, you may dispute me as much as you want about whether that might be true or not, but testing our abilities can be a very positive activity, and which is why I always believe that working with someone else to help challenge your status quo, to make you feel like you're worth $1 million or more, means that you have to go past that negative boundary, that ability for us to say we do have that ability to work on ourselves, that we are able to have the knowledge and skills to traverse any sort of plateau, any sort of mountain, any sort of valley, any type of obstacle in our lives to create that value. Because that value, through the act of determination, can make us ever so powerful in ways in which we would have never, ever thought possible. All my life, I always thought I had to prove something. And it doesn't mean that you have to prove anything to anybody. Sometimes you have to prove it to yourself, which is why you have to test yourself. If you haven't been feeling comfortable in your own skin, maybe that's an exercise in which you can work on not only your self-love, but to realize that you do have a number of abilities that you bring to the table, that you do have that creative outlet to help others, where otherwise you would have been told, no, you can't do that. Your ability to make such a profound difference in so many people's lives through that value determination means that you have to clench your fist. You have to grit your teeth. You have to push through sometimes the most difficult of all situations, even when you don't like to do it. Sometimes we have to do things in life that we don't like doing, but those are also moments of defining our ability to be tested, to be able to showcase that we are able to create opportunity, that we are able to focus on that reaction, that we as humans don't always have to rely on the negative influences. If you don't know what it looks like to be tested, write down a list today of all the things that might trigger you, all the things that might be negative, and see what you can do to start testing yourself to react more positively. If you haven't been able to focus much on your reading, maybe reading books is something that you used to enjoy quite often. Getting back in that habit means that you're going to test yourself to create that lifestyle change, that habit forming activity to read something, even if it's for 30 minutes every single day. Being able to work on your diet, losing weight can be such a positive influence, not only on your energy levels, but on other things that you do throughout your life. It has been proven that eating right and being able to have a balanced diet can lead to long living success, not only for you physically, but mentally as well. Testing yourself to eat healthy means that you might need to hire a trainer, a dietitian, a nutritionist, anybody that might help you with getting on that right path. But focusing on those things, putting into question what it is that those abilities that you think you can't overcome, that you can do, means that you have to challenge that status quo. Today, for all my listeners that want to challenge that status quo, I ask you, do you have that determination? Do you have the grit, the willingness to keep pushing forward, regardless of the obstacles, to be able to say, enough is enough. I know my worth, and I'm going to have you stop testing me because I know what I bring to the table is worth so much that you could ever imagine. Regardless of what that reaction is, regardless of that credibility that you're trying to prove, know this. Your worth is not laid in anything that you might do as ability, but what you do by action. Actions always speak louder than words. And being able to test your abilities to be able to do those kinds of actions not only will set you apart from the competition, but also make you a better person if you're willing to do the right thing. If you don't know what that right thing is, seek a coach. Seek someone that has been through this process. And I guarantee you, not only will you grow in your relationships, your confidence, your determination, but I think you will already realize that you have been worthy all along and you had nothing to prove to begin with. Thanks for listening to episode number 193 of Speaking from the Heart, and I look forward to hearing from your heart very soon.
Thanks for listening. For more information about our podcast and future shows, search for Speaking from the Heart to subscribe and be notified wherever you listen to your podcasts. Visit us at www.yourspeakingvoice.biz for more information about potential services that can help you create the best version of yourself. See you next time.